She may have been unusually beloved, the precious only daughter, spoiled in mirror-gazing because of the affection the family lavished on her. When her husband left, they welcomed the chance to take her back home. From the in-laws, she could live like the little daughter for just a while longer. There are stories that my grandfather was different from other people, crazy ever since the little Jap bayoneted him in the head. He used to put his naked penis on the dinner table, laughing. And one day he brought home a baby girl, wrapped up inside his brown Western-style greatcoat. He had traded one of his sons, probably my father, the youngest, for her. My grandmother made him trade back. When he finally got a daughter of his own, he doted on her. They must have all loved her, except perhaps my father, the only brother who never went back to China, having once been traded for a girl. Brothers and sisters, newly men and women, had to efface their sexual color and present plain means. Disturbing hair and eyes, a smile like no other, threatened the ideal of 5 generations living under one roof. To focus blurs, people shouted face to face and yelled from room to room. The immigrants I know have loud voices, unmodulated to American tones, even after years away from the village where they called their friendships out across the fields. I have not been able to stop my mother's screams in public libraries or over telephones. Walking erect, knees straight, toes pointed forward, not pigeon-toed, which is Chinese feminine, and speaking in an inaudible voice, I have tired to turn myself American feminine. Chinese communication was loud, public. Only sick people had to whisper. But at the dinner table, where the family members came nearest one another, no one could talk, not the outcasts, nor any eaters. Every word that falls from the mouth is a coin lost. Silently, they gave and accepted food with both hands. A preoccupied child who took his bowl with one hand got a sideways glare. A complete moment of total attention is due everyone alike. Children and lovers have no singularity here, but my aunt used the secret voice, a separate attentiveness. She kept a man's name to herself throughout her labor and dying. She did not accuse him that he be punished with her. To save her inseminator's name, she gave silent birth. He may have been somebody in her own household, but intercourse with a man outside the family would have been no less abhorrent. All the village were kinsmen, and the titles shouted in loud country voices never let kinship be forgotten. Any man within visiting distance would have been neutralized as a lover, brother, younger brother, older brother, 115 relationship titles. Parents researched birth charts probably not so much to assure good fortune as to circumvent incest in a population that has but 100 surnames. Everybody has 8 million relatives. How useless, then, sexual mannerisms, how dangerous. As if it came from an atavism deeper than fear, I used to add brother silently to boys' names. It hexed the boys who would or would not ask me to dance, and made them less scary and as familiar and deserving of benevolence as girls. But, of course, I hexed myself also. No dates. I should have stood up, both arms waving, and shouted out across libraries, "Hey, you! Love me back!" I had no idea, though, how to make attraction selective, how to control its direction and magnitude. If I made myself American pretty so that the 5 or 6 Chinese boys in the class fell in love with me, everyone else, the Caucasian, Negro, and Japanese boys, would too. Sisterliness, dignified and honorable, made much more sense. Attraction eludes control so stubbornly that whole societies designed to organize relationships among people cannot keep order, not even when they bind people to one another from childhood and raise them together. Among the very poor and the wealthy, brothers married their adopted sisters like doves. Our family allowed some romance, paying adult brides prices and providing dowries so that their sons and daughters could marry strangers. Marriage promises to turn strangers into friendly relatives, a nation of siblings. In the village structure, Spirits shimmered among the live creatures, balanced and held in equilibrium by time and land. But one human being flaring up into violence could open up a black hole, a maelstrom that pooled in the sky. The frightened villagers, who depended on one another to maintain the real, went to my aunt to show her a personal, physical representation of the break she had made in the roundness. Misaligned couples snapped off the future, which was to be embodied in true offspring. The villagers punished her for acting as if she could have a private life, secret and apart from them. If my aunt had betrayed the family at a time of large grain yields and peace, when many boys were born, and wings were being built on many houses, perhaps she might have escaped such severe punishment. But the men, hungry, greedy, tired of planting in dry soil, cuckolded, and had to leave the village in order to send food money home. There were ghost plagues, bandit plagues, wars with the Japanese, floods. My Chinese brother and sister had died of an unknown sickness. Adultery, perhaps only a mistake during good times, became a crime when the village needed food. The round mooncakes and round doorways, the round tables of graduated size that fit one roundness inside another, round windows and rice bowls, these talismans had lost their power to warn this family of the law. A family must be whole, faithfully keeping the descent line by having sons to feed the old and the dead, who in turn look after the family. The villagers came to show my aunt and her lover in hiding, a broken house. The villagers were speeding up the circling of events because she was too short-sighted to see that her infidelity had already harmed the village, that waves of consequences would return unpredictably, sometimes in disguise, as now, to hurt her. This roundness had to be made coin-sized, so that she would see its circumference, punish her at the birth of her baby, awaken her to the inexorable. People who refused fatalism because they could invent small resources insisted on culpability, deny accidents, and wrest fault from the stars. After the villagers left, their lanterns now scattering in various directions toward home, the family broke their silence and cursed her. "Aie! We're going to die. Death is coming. Death is coming. Look what you've done. You've killed us. Ghost! Dead ghost! Ghost! You've never been born." She ran out into the fields, far enough from the house so that she could no longer hear their voices, and pressed herself against the earth, her own land no more. When she felt the birth coming, she thought that she had been hurt. Her body seized together. "They've hurt me too much," she thought. "This is gall, and it will kill me." With forehead and knees against the earth, her body convulsed and then relaxed. She turned on her back, lay on the ground. The black well of sky and stars went out and out and out forever. Her body and her complexity seemed to disappear. She was one of the stars, a bright dot in blackness, without home, without a companion, in eternal cold and silence. An agoraphobia rose in her, speeding higher and higher, bigger and bigger. She would not be able to contain it. There would be no end to fear. Flayed, unprotected against space, she felt pain return, focusing her body. This pain chilled her, a cold, steady kind of surface pain. Inside, spasmodically, the other pain, the pain of the child, heated her. For hours she lay on the ground, alternately body and space. Sometimes a vision of normal comfort obliterated reality. She saw the family in the evening gambling at the dinner table, the young people massaging their elders' backs. She saw them congratulating one another, high joy on the mornings the rice shoots came up. When these pictures burst, the stars drew yet farther apart. Black space opened.